Today, Robin visits the Great Barrier Reef. Sue shows us how lightning works, and we take a closer look at our teeth. That's Hot Science.
Hi, well, to start today's Hot Science, I have a question for you. See all these things here? I've got some limestone, some chalk, some coral, some teeth and a bone. What do they all have in common? Well, they're all white in their natural form, but they all share something else, and I'm sure Susie can tell us what it is.
Sure. Hi, welcome to the show. How have you gone with this problem? Well, of course, the thing that they've all got in common is they're all made of calcium, and calcium's a really important thing. It's essential for life. It's normally, in its pure form, a soft, silvery white metal, but in nature we never find it in that pure form. We find it mixed with other chemicals.
Like you can get calcium sulfate and calcium carbonate.
Sure, and you can even get calcium phosphate in our teeth, but we've got some other good examples here.
Yeah, now limestone, that's used for building, and it's also combined with other things to make cleaning products. Chalk, now I'm sure you've seen this at school, your teachers use it on blackboards. Chalk and limestone together are made from fragments of millions of sea creatures, would you believe? And coral, well, this is a skeleton of a coral, and it's the skeleton that's made of calcium.
And then of course we've got some sheep's teeth here, and it's the calcium in teeth that make them really nice and tough.
Just like our teeth, I guess.
Yep, and that's why it's important to eat calcium in our diet. And we've also got some calcium in bones. Again, it's that calcium phosphate which makes the bones nice and tough. And this looks like it's a leg bone.
Oh, a human leg bone.
Now, calcium, as I mentioned, is a soft silvery white metal if you get it in its pure form, but we don't usually find it that way. It's mixed with these other chemicals. But it's one of a group of metals called an alkaline earth metal, which means we find it in the earth, but when we dissolve it in water, it actually gives us an alkaline solution.
Ah, like a base?
Yes, an alkaline solution is the opposite to an acid. So there's a simple test for an alkaline solution, and that is to get some paper, excuse me, Rob, called litmus paper. And if you soak litmus paper in an alkaline solution, it will turn a bluey colour.
And that's what we've done right here. I got just a piece of chalk and a stick, scrape some off into some water like that.
So the calcium carbonate in the chalk will dissolve.
Makes a horrible noise. Then you stir it around. Then we put some litmus paper in about 15 minutes ago, and have a look at the colour compared to the original.
Calcium is an alkaline earth metal.
Calcium.
Well, as we've already just shown you, there is calcium in a lot of things, and we also find calcium in a lot of places. In fact, our Earth is made up of 3.5% calcium. So with so much calcium around the place, it's no wonder that our water gets calcium particles in it.
And it's those calcium particles and other salts which dissolve in the water which can cause water to become hard as opposed to soft water. And if you've experienced hard water, you'll know, because when you use detergents and soap, you don't get nice bubbles because the salts and impurities actually combine with the detergent. So it's not very good for washing. And there are some simple ways to have a look at those impurities in hard water. And one way is to actually take a test tube and put some water in it. Now this is bore water. Have you heard of that before?
Yes, indeed. There's lots of sort of brown, gurky stuff in there.
Well, that's some dirt, but I'm going to try and pour some of that off. Just put a little bit of bore water in a test tube. This is water we've actually pumped out of the ground. Could you hold that for me?
Sure.
Okay, I'll take the match.
So it hasn't been distilled or purified in any way?
No, that's straight out of the ground. So a lot of those salts and calcium that are in the ground will have dissolved into that water. So if you're going to do this experiment with a flame, make sure there's an adult to supervise. You take the test tube, or you could do it in another glass container, and boil away the water like this. It'll take a few minutes until all the water has evaporated, and then those impurities and salts will be left on the bottom of the test tube.
Okay. Now we already did this about half an hour ago and have got some results to show you. Now this first one, Susie, is distilled water.
That is. That's very clean water. I'll just shift this jar out of the way. It's very clean water. It's pure, and you can see that there's very few impurities in it at all. All the water's gone.
So that'd be soft water?
That's nice and soft. Here we have some tap water. Now you think about tap water being nice and clean, but it has got a lot of salt and impurities in it still, and you can see the salts
you mean
dried.
We drink that?
Sure, and some of that would be calcium. Then this third one was another container of bore water that we did, and you can see there's plenty of salt and impurities on that, so that is hard water.
Well, another test you can do for hard and soft water is with detergent. Now, I've got some diluted detergent here, and we have distilled water, tap water and bore water. And what I'm going to do is add a few drops of detergent each and see which one lathers the best. Now, hard water shouldn't lather too much, and distilled water should lather a lot, so we should get lots of bubbles. Anyway, let's have a look. Susie, would you like to shake those for me?
I'll take the distilled water.
Give it a really good shake.
Oops, something's leaking up at the top.
Let's have a look here.
How's that? Oh.
Yeah, well, lots of bubbles there. Tap water, and I'll just give the bore water one a bit of a go. Oh, and I'm losing it all over me. How'd we go bubble-wise, Sue?
Let's pull them up a little bit so we can see. Okay, lots of bubbles. Not so many bubbles, and
The bore water, actually, it's not as hard as I thought it would be. There's still a fair few bubbles there.
Sure, but actually the bubbles aren't very thick, so it's not a really nice lather, is it?
No.
Quite, but yeah, there's a few more than I...
Okay, so we have soft, not so soft, and harder water.
Toothpaste is made up mostly of chalk and water. Detergents are there too, not to clean your teeth, but to make the paste foamy.
I haven't got any fillings, but what about you? Well, we have a dental expert here. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hi Sue, how are you?
Oh, I'm super. We're going to find out a bit more about teeth though, aren't we?
Yes we are. We've brought along some models today and we're going to show everyone how different teeth are.
Okay, because as you grow older, you start as a little baby and you grow, develop teeth, and some of them fall out, new ones come along. Can you show us what happens?
Right, I can. On this little model here, this is some baby teeth, and you have 20 baby teeth by the time you're about, 2.5 to 3,
Right.
and so there's 20 baby teeth there, and then as you get older, you get more teeth, start getting permanent teeth, and by the time you get all your permanent teeth, you have 32 adult teeth.
Well, that must be what I've got.
If you've got your wisdom teeth, it would be.
I do.
Yeah.
Now, different teeth are different shapes, and I guess they've got different jobs. Can you show us what they do?
Right, well we can have a look at this model here for some of the other teeth and show you which ones do what for us. On the front here you can see across the top and the bottom we've got 4 incisor teeth at the top and 4 at the bottom, and they're the teeth we use for cutting our food or biting into things.
Right. Yep.
And then we have on the side here, you can see there's an eye tooth, the top and the bottom. These ones here that look a little bit more pointed than
They're
the...
like daggers, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And on some animals, like cats and dogs, they're very sharp and very pointed, and you can see them very easily. And those teeth are used for tearing food.
Right. And then as you go further back, the teeth get quite flat. They must have a different sort of job.
That's right. These flat ones at the back here are molars. They're used for grinding up the food or chewing the food up before we swallow it.
Right, okay. So 3 different types of teeth for different jobs.
That's right.
And Chris, this is a good model because you can see where the baby teeth are and the grown-up teeth are.
That's right. On that model there, we can see that the person has got some adult teeth at the front and some adult teeth at the back, but in the middle there, they've got 2 lots of teeth. So they've got some baby teeth with the adult teeth underneath.
So how old would this person be?
Oh, I reckon they'd be about 8 years old.
So you can actually use teeth to tell how old somebody is?
That's right.
Oh, that's great, isn't it? And Chris, we've got a model over here where we can see what actually is inside a tooth. Let's have a look at that.
That's right. We've got this big model here of a molar, and here we've actually cut the molar in half so that you can see the inside of the tooth. And the top here we have the enamel.
Right.
And the enamel is the hardest substance in the body.
Right.
It's harder than bone.
Right.
And then down the bottom here we have the roots of the tooth, and the roots of the teeth are mainly made up of what we call dentine. And if you can see, that goes around here and it's the yellowy colour.
Right.
That's the dentine. That's about as hard as bone.
Right. And then in the middle there's some pink stuff. Is that
That's
soft?
right. That is soft. There's a soft centre in the middle of your tooth, each tooth, and that's called the pulp, and that has nerves and blood vessels in there.
All right. Now, Chris, at the top we've got a black hole appearing. Is that what really happens to a tooth?
It can do, yes.
Right.
Yes, this one's got a little hole here that's worked its way through the enamel and into the dentine.
And does it get bigger if we don't fix it?
It certainly can if we don't get it fixed at some stage. If it's not detected, then it can get bigger.
Right, okay. So what actually causes these problems? Is it just weak teeth, or does something actually cause it to grow?
Right, well, this one here started in the groove of a tooth, so that's because the toothbrush hasn't been able to get in there and stop those germs getting in there.
And what are the germs?
The germs are the plaque, dental plaque.
And they're little bacteria, aren't they?
That's right, and they grow on our teeth every day, and we have to get them off every day.
And they might produce acid or something?
Well, when we eat sugary things, they do. They produce an acid from the sugar that we eat.
Right, so the sugar we eat actually becomes food for the bacteria?
That's right, it does.
Okay, well, we've got a picture of some different sorts of food and the amounts of sugar in them. Have a look at this.
Right, okay, you can see here some of the sugars, and you can see up on the top right-hand side there's a small block of chocolate there, 50 grams, and you can see in the test tubes next to it, that's sugar, and that much, 3 test tubes, there's about 6 teaspoons of sugar.
Just in 6 pieces of chocolate. Oh boy. And look, there's a can of soft drink, and you can see that's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 test tubes.
Right, so that's about 10 teaspoons of sugar.
Oh boy. So if you're going to eat sugar, I guess you've got to keep your teeth clean, really, to stop the plaque dissolving your teeth.
Well, that's right. If you're going to eat sugar, just eat a small amount, or don't eat it very often. Only have it, say, once or twice a day, not 5 or 6 times a day.
Okay, and then if you brush properly and keep your teeth clean, they'll look after you. Thanks very much, Chris.
Thanks, Sue.
Next, Robin looks at some of the corals of the Great Barrier Reef.
Australia's Great Barrier Reef is one of the natural wonders of the world. 2,000 miles long, it is home to thousands of species of fish, molluscs, seaweeds, birds, turtles, and of course, corals. Coral reefs are built by billions of tiny animals called coral polyps. As the polyps die, their tiny skeletons build up to produce the characteristic formations of coral. There are around 400 different species here, falling into 2 main groups, the hard corals and the soft corals. It is only the living polyps which have the colours that make such a beautiful display, and these colours vary according to the depth, temperature and type of pollutants in the sea. Many areas appear mainly in shades of brown because of microscopic algae that live amongst the coral. Once the polyps die, the colour disappears. A coral reef is a fragile ecosystem that requires special conditions to remain healthy. Coral polyps such as these cannot survive in water below 18 degrees Celsius and can only thrive near the surface of the sea where there's plenty of oxygen. One of the main threats to the health of the Great Barrier Reef is the pressure of tourism, which is why aquariums such as the Great Barrier Reef Aquarium in Townsville are so valuable to both the general public and to research scientists alike. So if you do happen to visit a reef, why don't you spend a little extra time and take a look at all the wonderful corals that you'll find there.
Conduction.
Trumpets, violins, flutes, ready? Okay, guys, let's go.
Hello, Oos.
Oh, hi, Rob.
What are you doing?
I'm just going to conduct this orchestra here. Ready, guys?
Oh, no.
1, 2.
Oos, we're not talking about that type of conducting.
Oh.
We're talking about conduction, which is the transmission or movement of heat or electricity. So can you think of something that's a good conductor? That means that heat and electricity can pass through it easily?
A good conductor? Yeah, water's a good conductor.
Yeah, it is. What about a bad conductor?
Air.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But air can be a good conductor when there's a huge surge of power, like with lightning. And Sue recently visited the Investigators Science Centre to take a look at some lightning.
This is somewhere we can explore lightning really safely. What we've got behind me is a Tesla coil, and we're at the Investigator Science Centre. Now, this Tesla coil takes normal electricity and it converts it to really high voltages, about 2 million volts. Compare that with real lightning, which is about 15 million volts, and you get some idea of the sort of spark we're going to get. How a Tesla coil works is it takes normal electricity, and as the electricity flows through wires, it actually induces a bigger and a bigger voltage in other wires, leading right up to the top where that silver cap is. And at the top of that cap, it's about 2 million volts. Well, let's have a look and see how it works. When lightning strikes the Earth, it can hurt or even kill living things and cause fire. But when lightning occurs in the atmosphere, its electrical energy is scattered. Now, strikes of lightning can heat the air in their paths to over 30,000 degrees centigrade, and this produces waves of pressure or sound called thunder. And that's why a clap of thunder always follows a stroke of lightning.
Wow, I didn't know lightning had so much energy.
It can be really destructive too. Have you seen a lightning conductor on a building?
Oh, is that tall kind of rod thing that sticks up?
It is. It sometimes looks like an antenna, and it's designed to actually protect the building because lightning's going to strike the tallest thing around. So what you do is you have your building and you have a lightning conductor on top. The lightning will strike that pole, but that pole is actually connected all the way down to the earth by an electrical wire, which goes into the earth. So as the lightning strikes the pole, the energy goes down the wire and is absorbed by the earth, and it protects the building that way.
Okay.
Hey, speaking about conductors though, did you know that a metal like steel wool is a good conductor too?
Yeah, a lot of metals are good conductors.
Well, let me take a bit of this steel wool off, snip there, and I'll hand that to you.
Now we've got a little bit of an experiment set up here. Got 2 nails on a piece of wood, and I'll just wind this steel wool round here like that. Whoops, and then the other side.
So we'll be able to see it conducting electricity.
Yep, now I better chop off the ends. Like that, one side and then the other side. And we've got we're going to set up a circuit. What we've got is a battery with 2 electrical wires, and I'll connect one to one end of my nail with the steel wool on it, and then the other end, and have a look at what happens to the steel wool. Whoa.
Hey, it's glowing.
See that?
What if we disconnect it? Will it stop? Oh,
yeah. Because we've set up a circuit.
So the electricity flowing through the wire is causing it to heat up and actually glow. And a light bulb uses the same principle too. If you take a light bulb and have a look up close, you'll see there's a small piece of wire, and as electricity flows through that wire, the wire glows and it causes the light to be nice and bright.
Now if we were to leave this for a while, eventually that piece of steel wool will break because it's just not strong enough to take all that energy. And it's the same principle used in a fuse in a house. So if there's a huge surge of energy, the fuse just isn't strong enough to take it, so it'll break and it'll stop that electricity going into other things and hurting people.
So it's designed to protect us. But that same principle of a glowing wire is also used in a toaster. If you have a look in the top of a toaster, you'll see those wires glowing, and that's what actually cooks the toast.
Now you can see it in a lot of things around the home. Have a think about it and see if you can come up with some more ideas.
Lightning. Lightning's bright, like electric light. When it strikes, out go the lights.
You may need more than a set of eyes to guess what this is a close-up of. It has no bones, but 8 legs. Did you guess what it was? Well, take a look now. It's my friend Ollie the octopus. And did you know that they react to danger by changing colour? If an octopus is disturbed by another, it shows off waves of colours which might be enough to show who's boss.
How do we know if the steel and concrete used in major constructions like bridges, buildings and dams will withstand the pressure they'll be put under? Well, one of the ways is to subject these different materials to stringent tests. Steel bars used in many constructions are placed into a universal testing machine, which will pull the steel bar apart by using tension. Once firmly in place, the machine is switched on and tension applied. Using the machine's readouts and a computer to record the test results, the bar is pulled apart. When the fracture occurs, the computer reading shows the amount of energy absorbed by the steel bar. Concrete, which is also used in building construction, is also tested by using compression. Pressure is applied to a concrete cylinder until it breaks up.
We've now seen a compression test on a concrete cylinder. The sample has failed in a fairly classical shear cone failure. From the results that we obtain here, we're able to calculate the compressive strength of the concrete and again use that as a quality control measure. This is typical of the type of sample which is cast on construction sites. Large numbers of these will be manufactured. We test these in a machine similar to the previous testing machine, in which we load the concrete in compression. The results are recorded, we obtain a maximum load, and from that calculate a compressive strength. We use these types of tests for both concrete and steel in order to ensure that the properties of materials that we use for engineering construction and the sort of equipment we have here in the laboratory is typical of that which is used in the engineering profession for the purpose of quality control and materials testing.
A bombardier beetle defends itself by squirting a hot, irritating jet of gas at its attacker.
It's quiz time.
Yeah.
Now, which happens first, lightning or thunder?
Oh, that's a hard one. But if I had to have a guess, I would say lightning.
You're right.
Yeah.
Now, why is that? You did tell us before. Can you remind me?
Well, the lightning's a big flash, and that light actually travels much faster than the sound that it causes. So you'll see the lightning almost straight away. That's how quickly light travels. But the sound will take, a couple of seconds to reach you, depending on how far away it is. So you can actually time the thunder from when you see the lightning flash and work out how far away the lightning happened.
Wow.
Oh, isn't that clever?
Hey, I've got a question for you too.
Yeah?
I bet you don't know this one. How many legs has an octopus got?
I bet I do.
hey.
I bet I do.
Okay.
Octo is 8.
Yeah.
So I would guess that an octopus has 8 legs.
That's right. Yeah.
Thanks, Oos.
Sorry.
All right, Robin, can you give me something or 3 things that have got calcium in them?
Okay, teeth, bones, and also coral. And I've got some great looking coral here. Well, this is actually coral skeletons, and it's the skeleton that has calcium in them. And when these corals are wonderful and alive, they have little polyps in them, and that's what gives them the colour. But Oos,
Yeah.
see over here?
Yeah.
We have a green one.
Yep.
Do you know what that is?
Yes, that's because there was algae living in there.
That's right. Do you recognise anyone in here?
Oh, no, not at the moment, because that's not living now, but I used to live in there.
Okay, we got to go. Bye-bye.
Bye.